Good morning, everyone. What a night, what a night. I thought I was going to be spending a zero in the shelter with the weather and what it's calling for. You know, some big storms today and tomorrow with inches and inches of rain. Well, last night from about 11 o'clock on, it was like a monsoon. It actually reminded me of late season and or early season tropical storms in Florida. Not super high winds, like 140 or anything, but like right on that cusp. I would say 60, 70 mile per hour gusts easily. Lots and lots of rain, at least a couple inches. Just downpoured hard for, at least till 5, so 6 hours of nonstop, just hardcore rain and wind. And then I somehow got a signal when I hadn't had a signal for hours, 12 hours plus, and was able to get a little signal so I could check the weather. And the weather app I use is pretty consistent, not as good as me reading the radar myself, but I didn't have enough signal to get on the radar, I guess. So I looked at that and seen that there's going to be a couple breaks today in the storm, so I thought, you know what? I'm not going to just sit here. It was leaking a little bit in there, but still, for the most part, pretty dry. But I wasn't going to just sit there and think about life and think about storms and think about hiking. I'm going to go hike. So that's what I'm doing. Starting out in my early dark 30 and seeing where it takes me. Going to watch, obviously going higher today. So the higher I go, hopefully the better signal I'll get and be able to keep a really good eye on the weather and know where I need to be as far as shelters, or maybe if I could get to past Clingmans Dome to Newfound Gap, get shelter there in that bathroom, or maybe even go into Gatlinburg for a day if I have to. I'm going to be as safe as possible, but at the same time want to make these miles as a part of the adventure. I didn't come out here to sit on my bum. So here I go. And you're coming with me. Step by step, we'll see what the day brings, but right now I will tell you this trail is sloshy, about an inch of water everywhere, so I'm basically wading through cold water all day long, it looks like, at least until it dries out, just in time for a next storm. All right, living life, baby. Let's do it. Taking one layer off, a little bit warm, which I love because if it's going to be wet and humid, I'd rather it be a little bit warm. Don't want that around freezing, that's for sure. It will get a little chilly when I get up here in about 1,700 feet, which is about the highest point I get from where I am right now. I'm about 5,000 right now up in the air. So it'll get a little cool up there, but that'll be in the middle of the day, and then I'll be heading down as long as it's not raining at that moment, which I'm going to try to avoid heavy rains. Sprinkles I could take. Light rain I could take. I just don't want to get soaked out here when it gets chilly at night, especially at the really higher altitudes out here. So just trekking on and climbing this first peak here. And yeah, so when I had my signal earlier this morning, I of course checked in with my fiance, let her know everything was good and I was sheltered as much as I possibly could at that moment, and that I might have to take a 0 day because at that point this didn't look like the storms were letting up. And I'm paraphrasing this, but she said a great thing. She said something about that you're in the Smokies and she's reminding you of who she is. And I loved that, because that's exactly the way I look at life. Nature's going to just throw everything it can at you to remind you of her beauty and her power. and just jump into it like fire. That's what I'm doing today. Like, you know, the storms are going to be coming. I'm going to be as sheltered as I can when I need to be. But besides that, I'm out here in it today. I bask in your majesty, Great Smoky Mountains. I love being here, and we're going to enjoy the day and triumph and conquer and climb those summits. Today is a conquering day. Whoa! And the other part about that I didn't mention that I wanted to, after she had said that, of course, this was all texting. I didn't have enough signal to call at that moment, and it was like 1 o'clock, I think, in the morning there. But I knew she'd want to hear from me. So we texted for a little bit, and she, said that, and, it got me really pumped up, kind of like a Rocky moment where you start hearing dun 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 dun. It was kind of like one of those moments getting me pumped up, and I'm like, as soon as we got done texting, I kind of said, I don't know if you want to call it a prayer or just a thought in my head. I'm like, okay, if this eases up at all, I'm out of here. I'm back on the trail, because that would be like a sign of her inviting me to climb her today, to climb her mountains. Yeah, this is how I think. I know I'm probably crazy, but wouldn't you know it? Almost as soon as I thought that, in my head, in my heart, it slowed down. I jumped up off my air mattress. I let the air out. I started packing up my stuff. Oh, I think I went pee first, but because I couldn't pee for hours because it was just too hard of rain to go out there. So that's not good for the prostate. You men know this. But yeah, she got me pumped up by saying that the Smokies are just reminding me of who she is. And I love that. It made me want to get out and play with the Smokies. So I took it as a sign that she was saying, "Oh, you want some? Come get some. Come get some. I'm here. So, yep, this is how I think." She has a voice, and that's what she sounds like, apparently. She invited me to come out and play today, so I'm out here enjoying and conquering today, and you're along for the ride. Oh, and one more thing. I love you, Lane. The worst part about the sogginess is right here, these leaves on the descents, because it's very slippery and soggy, but sometimes you step on these leaves and you just go, shoom, your foot goes out from under you. So far I haven't fallen yet today, but definitely had several close calls. That foot just slides out like it's going on ice or something. Somebody could just bring a leaf blower out here when it's dry and blow these leaves off the trail. That would be great. I'm obviously joking, but look at that. Sometimes they're like a foot deep of leaves, and then when they're soft and mushy, it's like walking through snow or something. But definitely a little bit slippery and sloshy. So I think I've went up last look about 1,200 so far today, and now it's going down a little before it goes back up here, going up and down little spurts up to this first summit of the day, which ironically is called Seiler's Bald. For those of you who have good memories, about 100 miles ago, I stood on top of a side trail mountain summit called Seiler Bald. So it was already in the bag. But the Great Smokies has their own version of it. But here, it's called Seiler's with an S, Bald. And the other one is just Seiler, singular, Seiler Bald. So 2 different names. One is plural, one is singular. But that is the next summit we're coming up on. And normally it's supposed to have great views. I have been in and out of fog, so we will see if it's socked in or not. I'm kind of hoping this one is not. I mean, obviously I always hope that, but in this one, I definitely hope it, just because I've heard that around Seiler's Bald for like the next 1.5 miles after that is just epic views. Some of the comments you see on Far Out actually says it's like some of the best views so far on the AT. So we will see if we see anything, or if we will just see fog. Right now, I'm just happy to have some dry air to be able to hike in today. So it's obviously not going to stick around all day long, but hopefully I will be able to avoid a lot of those raindrops or just light rain while I'm out here hiking. All right, continuing on. You know, something you may not know about me, I used to be much younger. But seriously, I'm here thinking, yeah, I'm 47, did the PCT, started right on my actually the day before my birthday, but then spent that night and into the next day in the hospital because of the almost tragedy that happened on day one of the PCT. That's how I celebrated the beginning of my 47th birthday, and then continued another 115-ish days on the PCT. Soon I'll be 48. During my 47th is when I decided I'm going to do the Triple Crown. And I'm going to try to do all three before I'm 50. Now, I don't set rules for myself, and I definitely don't plan things out a couple years in advance. But that was the original idea. Whether I do the CDT next year, I don't know. Might be a couple years down the road, might be 3 years, might be 10 years, I don't know. But I will do the CDT someday, and I will achieve the Triple Crown. I still have a few hundred miles left on the PCT for those who might be new and did not know that. As part of that trail I was not able to finish towards the end because of wildfire year. On the PCT, a lot of areas got closed, including the northern terminus. But I digress. That's the plan before I'm 50. I'm going to be 48 soon. And I just want to say, I am in the best shape of my life. I am stronger than I've ever been. Now, I've always been strong mentally. I will push through anything. For example, last year having a fractured spine since day two basically. It happened on day one, but when I started hiking again, fractured spine. So all but the first day I walked on a fractured spine on the PCT. It takes a lot for me to quit. I'm a very strong minded person, and I don't believe in quitting. I believe in pushing through. Life throws its challenges and its battles, and you got to overcome them. You can either sit there and let them defeat you, or you can trample them and become an overcomer and triumph it. That's what I've chosen to do my whole life, and which is why I love the mountains. It's symbolic of putting those problems below your feet and defeating the obstacle in your way. But again, I digress. A lot of rabbit holes right now that I'm going down, but it just amazes me that at this age, I'm the strongest physically, like a machine at times. Doesn't matter the pain, I still push through. When I have pain, almost always have a little pain each day, but you push through. My side is feeling much better today, so that's a good thing. Took a couple days for that to start feeling more manageable and able to walk without it feeling like something was poking into my side. Because of a strained muscle or whatever it was. But I'm just happy that I'm this age and the strongest I've ever been. I've always been really active, really played basketball, track, tennis, walk 8 to 10 miles a day, even when I'm not hiking. Never been much of a jogger, but every once in a while I jog. Did a lot of jogging training here for the AT. I'm just so thankful that my body, after the years of hell that it went through in the last 4 or 5 years, with the big C and the colon and the couple of mini strokes and the other issues, the hernia, the several surgeries, the acid reflux or GERD in my case that is so bad that it is starting to destroy part of my esophagus, and surgery may be the only answer, and obviously because it's destroyed it, they want to watch for esophageal cancer, which is why I'm supposed to do an endoscopy every 3 or 4 months to make sure that it hasn't started becoming cancerous in there. I've just always pushed through. We're not promised the next day, not promised tomorrow. We could possibly be just one short breath away from goodbye. And we got to live life while we have it. I'm not trying to be preachy or anything here. I'm just going with what the soul is speaking today. And I'm just extremely thankful and humbled that I am still here and I'm pushing through, and somehow, some way, after, you know, a timestamp was given a few years back, and I'm still pushing through and stronger than I've ever been, and for the most part in good health and just conquering. I thank God that I'm in this position right now. And I may have been diagnosed with osteoporosis last year, the beginning stages of it, but I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep pushing through. Going to keep getting stronger. Going to make those bones stronger as much as I can. And I'm going to keep pushing through no matter what the battle is, because that's what Fortune does. Fortune wants to conquer until he can't conquer anymore. But until then, we keep conquering. Live life, baby. So Siler's Bald in the Great Smoky Mountains is in the bag. I see the fog rolling in pretty quickly over here. I think it's staying low right now. I'm above it. I say low. I'm just high right now. About 5,700. There's a really cool viewpoint up here, it looks like. So I'm trying to get to it before it rolls in too much. But a lot of roots and rock here, so hard to go too fast, but and especially since it's soaking wet with leaves and everything else. But these trees look freaking awesome with the moss on them. And you can see the fog there in the background where it's rolling in. Hopefully that doesn't block in the views, because I could see it through the trees and it looked epic. Big peaks in the background with the fog below it, but I might be walking right into the fog here, so we'll see. Now that's what I'm talking about. These mountain peaks with the clouds in between, like in the valleys between them, are literally on both sides of me right now. Ah, that's what I've been hoping to see today because of the storms, is that the fog would be in like certain areas, the clouds would be lower, I'd be able to walk through them. So got some really good views here so far today. I think just about 3.5 miles from Clingmans Dome, maybe 4 at the most. So closing in, going higher and higher. I'm loving it. Exciting day. Wow, look at this. Got some pines or evergreens entering deep, dark forest. This looks like the PNW here. Wow, it's the first time I've seen that on this trail so far. I love these trees. I mean, there's so many that look similar to me. I don't know what kind they are, whether they're pines or spruce or evergreens, I don't know. But they're beautiful. And look, there's more green on the ground. Yeah, definitely more lush and beautiful in here. Love it. All these trees down, but all this green moss and pines and other kinds of trees mixed in. Gives that deep, dark look, but just rainforesty look with all the moss on everything. I love it. Means we're getting higher. Loving this trail today. Wind's kicking up. You can hear it outside of these trees. And it's been raining on and off. Nothing too heavy as of now, so we'll see how everything goes. I am currently at 6,030 feet of elevation. This is the first time on the Appalachian Trail of crossing over the 6,000 foot threshold. Woohoo! Another milestone. Getting really close to Clingmans Dome. About a mile and a half. And this is the part of the trip where we start to get emotional. Getting close to the dome. here is the summit of Clingmans Dome. Walking the tower to the top. It's a nice long walk, it looks like, wraps around like a roller coaster. So, last year, I climbed the tallest mountain in the continental U.S., Mount Whitney. It was a very emotional day, as it was the closest I've ever been to my loved ones, my daughter, my mother, my father, my best friend Harry, several bandmates, several really good friends, and several family members, all gone on before. And so this is a special moment once again, as this is the tallest spot, the highest peak, the highest point of the Appalachian Trail. And here I am, summiting it, but not only summiting it, but also going to the tower. So it's awfully freaking windy in here. But look at these views. Is for my daughter Christina, my mother Patricia, my father Leonard, my best friend Harry, and all the others who have went on before me. I dedicate this one to you. Clingmans Dome and the tower, the highest point of the is in the bag. Coming down from Clingmans Dome now. Got about 7.5 miles to go to get to Newfound Gap, where I will have a ride, a shuttle driver picking me up so I could go into town tonight. Wasn't really wanting to come out of town in the Smokies, but with the storms and it's really cold up here, it won't be as cold as I start going down, get a little warmer, but these storms passing through is bringing a cold front, so it's supposed to get cooler anyway. So I want to go dry off tonight, and there's supposed to be more storms tonight and even worse ones tomorrow. So I'll figure it out if I'm going to come back to trail tomorrow or take another zero. Weather is definitely one thing that kind of dictates what you should do and what you shouldn't do. So I'm going to try to hustle down here as fast as I can and still be safe. And it's awesome that I got the highest point. I don't know if you could hear me up there, but the highest point of the AT is now accomplished. And that felt really good. Got emotional just like I did when I was at the highest point of the PCT. That's some nice slippery rocks here. But the other thing is I've just now passed the 200 mile mark on the AT as well. So lots of milestones happening here. Probably shouldn't be holding this phone while I'm trying to go down here, but I am, so I'm being extra careful. All right, y'all, we're heading down about 2,700 foot down. I think it's about 1,100 foot up during that 7.7 miles, so it's a lot more descent. Hopefully it won't be too slippery, because I do want to have a pretty good pace going to get out there at a reasonable time. All right, let's get on. So I found this on the ground. I don't know why it's such a perfect square, but that, as you can see, looks a lot like bear scat, bear poop. You're like, man, why are you touching her? Don't worry, I got sanitizer. But yeah, I just found it here along the trail. Definitely nuts and berries. In case case you didn't know, that was not bear's cat. It kind of looks like it, but it was just a Cliff Bar, the brownie flavor. So if I ruined your appetite, you thinking I was eating bear's cat, I don't apologize. It has rained so much last night and today that the trail actually looks like a little creek right now. Water just rushing down it. Actually, the last time I stopped and got water, I got it right on the trail. It was like falling off a rock and almost looked as good as some of the water places around here to get water. So I just stopped on the trail and filtered it up, kept on going. It's kind of funny though how that looks like that. So you can imagine my feet are not dry. Standing on the summit of Mount Collins, a viewless summit, but nonetheless, Mount Collins is in the bag. About 4 more miles to go to Newfound Gap. It is soggy and soaked and wet. Sometimes it feels like I'm stepping onto a soaked sponge and I just sink right in and get more soaked. So I will be glad to get into town tonight and dry my socks off, dry my shoes off, take a nice warm bath or shower, and get a lot of grub in me, and sit out the storm, and come back and dominate some more. But first things first, 4 more miles to go.